It's time for NEC Women's Basketball on the Run. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ralph Ventre. Welcome inside the NEC Front Row Studio. It's time to talk women's hoops. We have a full show packed wall to wall. Let's go right to work and take a look at where we stand. Exactly 1/3 of the way through the conference schedule, and two unbeatens sit atop the Northeast Conference standings. Sacred Heart and Robert Morris kept their records blemish-free last week. The SHU Pioneers, off to their best conference start since 2012, when they won their first 7 league games. Robert Morris, on the other hand, Charlie Buscalia's Colonials are 6-0 for the second year in a row. Last season, Robert Morris completed a perfect run through the first half of the league schedule, starting 9-0 before suffering its first league loss. The Colonials won each of their first 4 NEC games by double digits. This past week, they had a couple of close calls in New England. They closed out the 4-game road trip in triumphant fashion with a 3-point win. Another game at Central was a 7-point victory. So the games were a little closer than the Colonials would have liked them, but they still found a way to remain unbeaten in NEC play. Glancing quickly back at the standings, the 3-way tie for 4th place, including defending champion St. Francis U and the 3-3 Wagner Seahawks. Wagner off to its best NEC start in more than a decade. Each of the 10 teams still with 12 league games to play. We have a lot to sort out between now and the first week of March. She gets buckets. By she, I mean St. Francis Brooklyn guard Jade Johnson. The Aussie-born sharpshooter lit it up last week. In particular, against LIU, she scored 33 points to nab the Battle of Brooklyn MVP award for the second year in a row. In the win over the Blackbirds, Johnson set a single-game program record by sinking 8 of 10 3-point field goal attempts. Those 8 3-pointers made were an NEC single-game season high. The prime performance was nothing new for Johnson. She ranks 2nd overall this season amongst NEC scoring leaders at 18.7 points per game. She's 2nd amongst league leaders in 3-point field goal percentage, and she has the best free throw percentage in the Northeast Conference. Jade Johnson, coming off a career-high 33, averaging more than 18 a game, she gets buckets. Calling my Twitter timeout at this juncture in the show, a look at the tweet sheet turns up this gem from Doug Feinberg. Women's basketball fans around the nation know Doug as the national women's writer for the Associated Press, and he spent some time taking in some NEC hoops last week. He saw a classic, a 2-point game between St. Francis Brooklyn and Sacred Heart. Kat Haynes with the first triple-double in Sacred Heart's Division I history, the 11th triple-double in NEC annals, only the 2nd one to involve blocked shots. So it was an historic day for NEC hoops, and we're glad that Doug Feinberg was able to join in the fun. The New York-based reporter has covered the NEC championship game a number of years in the past, and we hope to see him again down the road. That's amazing. What do I find amazing this week? it's that Mount St. Mary's field goal shooting, in particular the exploits of Juliet Lawless and Rebecca Lee. Lawless and Lee rank first and second amongst the league's leaders in field goal percentage. Lawless at 53.2%, Lee at 52.4%. These two Mount Prime performers shooting the ball more efficiently than anyone else in the conference, and when it comes to scoring efficiency, Juliet Lawless has been on point of late. In her last 3 games, Lawless has scored 55 points in 65 minutes of action. She is shooting 71.4% over her last 3 games. Lawless and Lee lighting it up. The top 2 field goal percentage leaders in the Northeast Conference. Stats amazing. Now for your game to watch this week. A quick glance over the schedule. This one should stick out like a sore thumb. Monday night, Sacred Heart and Robert Morris. It could potentially be the battle of unbeatens. Robert Morris, Sacred Heart entering this weekend at 6-0. They'll have to both win on Saturday to set up Monday night's marquee matchup. But even if one were to incur a loss on Saturday, it would still be a first-place battle, and it would still feature the top 2 scoring defenses on the Northeast Conference circuit. You're not going to want to miss that one. Robert Morris, Sacred Heart Monday night. Also on Monday night, though, keep an eye on St. Francis Brooklyn and Mount St. Mary's. Those are the top 2 shooting teams in the Northeast Conference. And then a third game Saturday, Sacred Heart against St. Francis U. It will be the first place Pioneers against the defending champion Red Flash. And obviously Sacred Heart would need to knock off the defending champs to go into Monday night's matchup against Robert Morris with an undefeated league record. 10 games this week. Those are 3 to keep an eye on, including that mouth-watering matchup on Monday night. For NEC Front Row, I'm Ralph Ventre. Thanks for watching our show. We'll see you again, NECWBB On The Run, next week.